Guys and girls, we have got a very special caddy to show you. In a few videos, we need to get through a list of jobs, but it's that nice a van, I'm going to roll a montage. Let's get into it. Hopefully you enjoyed the montage. It is a nice van and it seemed fitting to get a few nice shots of it before we get into it. I will do a walk round very soon, but the first thing that's holding me up is the bonnet catch. It's come apart. He did play around with the headlights himself, and underneath this headlight is a connector of the cables, and I reckon that's come apart. So we need to get there, but the cable don't work. So the only way to open a bonnet is obviously, just kidding, not with that. I've got a flathead and a torch. I don't know how long it's going to take, so I might end up cutting to a time lapse. I have had to open a bonnet before when the bonnet cable's gone, and it was a wiggle. I can't see absolutely anything. Problem with this also, he has got a very nice custom made grille, and the last thing I want to do is break it or scratch anything. Can I see anything? I can't see absolutely anything at the minute. What I think is required is a time lapse, because it's not my van, so we need to keep damage, scratchage to an absolute minimum. And rather than hanging out 20 minutes of this video on me poking or barely touching his van, let's roll a time lapse. It has escalated quickly. Well, I say quickly, I've spent about an hour and a half so far. We've got the rad fans, and I did start walking back and forth from my caddy with the bonnet open to see what's going on. Basically, it's not been good. There is a van right there killing my shot, but we must crack on. I have got the joiner piece separated, radiator fans out. I've not been able to pull this with my fingers. I nearly like broke my finger, but I've got some long nose on it. Oh yeah. Oh. So on these they have a joiner piece, two cables meet each other. Well, I managed to get my arm up and the cables had separated because the joiner come down. I popped the joiner cable open. I've then pulled it. What an ordeal that was. Before it comes down off the ramp, I am going to, am I going to put the rad fan on yet? Because one of the jobs he wants is to paint his inlet manifold and rocker cover. I am going to leave the radiator fan off. That gives me access. Anyway, we can now carry on and start what we was doing. I need to get it back outside. We've got Andy here to give me a hand with a few little jobs. So bonnet's open. I'm going to fix the bonnet cable while it's down, and let's actually start doing some work. Bonnet is open, we saw that in the last clip, and I'm just going to run through a handful of the jobs that he wants doing on the front end. There is stuff around the rest of the motor, but a lot of it is under the bonnet. Straight away we've got some rusty looking pieces They want cleaning, bare metaling. Is that a rusty hole? They might want new ones. He wants those painting because look, if we step back, let me do a bit of zoom out. It's a show van and he has his bonnet open a lot because he has got a 3.2 V6 engine. So when he goes to a show, he's got it looking nice. It needs a clean everywhere. He has the bonnet open and he wants it to look mint. No squinting, she's minting. That is what he wants, and I hope I can do it. I can do it, but sometimes you don't want to get into a job and then regret starting it. We've got a plastic inlet manifold. He wants that painting. To get that off, we've got loads of plastic connectors, loads of plastic pipes. We do have the benefit of it being summer, or meant to be summer. The sun is not shining. So anything plastic is less brittle. All the intake box out, all the intake pipe, throttle body off, all those plastic pipes, all these plastic connectors, and none of these connectors on his coils are broke. So you need to take your time and have a lot of care and dexterity because it is someone else's motor. You don't want to break any of the clip. After we've got all that stuff on the back side of the engine, can you see one bolt buried down there? Let me see if we can zoom in. That bolt right in the middle of the screen, well, they run all the way along the front of the inlet manifold. He wants the inlet manifold painting. He's asked a lot of times. It's not on the top of my list of jobs I want to do, but I do want to do it for him. It's just going to take a good bit of time. And the easiest way, I believe, to get to those front intake manifold bolts, I'm going to take the whole front end off. His lights are a bit wafty, i.e. the adjusters, they've gone funny. He did get some repair kits. I need to look at that. The headlights are sat down, the bumper's hanging off. So I might just strip the whole front end off. That makes it easier to get to the intake manifold bolts and see what I'm actually playing with. And with the rocker cover, I don't know whether to paint it or get it vapor blasted. If you get it vapor blasted, it will come up new again. I'm not too sure. If I do get it vapor blasted, I'm going to get that engine mount vapor blasted at the same time. I am going to roll another time lapse. I'm going to strip this whole front end off. It shouldn't take too long because I've done a Caddy, 1 or 2, and then we can assess what needs fixing, what needs painting, and what needs breaking. Let's get into it. It might not be one of the sunniest days, but it is quite toasty. A lot of you commented, a lot of you, 2 of you, 3 of you maybe, on the Netherlands trip about my Corda t-shirt. Well, I have a collection. Hello! I have a collection of them. Check them out. Corda t-shirts. They are banging. No sponsored here, but if you're watching Fairbrass, I'll have a few. Intake manifold. It's not been too bad. You just need to take your time. There's a lot of clips. There's 6 pencil coils. I have laid them out. I very much doubt they're coded to their individual hole, but just in case they are, I've laid them out. I've got everything off, I believe. There is one air pipe that goes to the brake servo. I haven't managed to do this end, but I've done that end. I've got the throttle body off. Might give that a clean while it's out. We've got loads of pipes. We got every coil clip off without breaking any of them. You might say, well, surely a mechanic can get them off. Well, VW clips, they can be a pain, but again, we've got the benefit of it being the summer, so everything's malleable. They're all off anyway. I've never worked on a is it a VR6? Is that the name of the engine? So it's all new to me. But it is a VW, so it's nuts and bolts. V-dub bolts. Dipstick, what are you doing? Why ain't you coming out? There's something hooky. I think it needs to come out and over. I didn't really want to take the dipstick out. Oh, there we go. We got some twist on. Once it's out, I'll be able to see. Oh, there we go. Okay. If you was doing this in the winter, you would have definitely broke a few clips. And I really didn't want to do that under here because it's mint. That air pipe I was speaking about. Come on, give it to me. Oh yeah. That is a big old piece. And it is painted from the factory because it's black underneath. Need to work out, oh yeah, I can see that. I need to strip it down even more. And then I'm going to get Andy to start prepping it. Andy's already spent 20 minutes, half hour. So one thing Darren mentioned was stepping all of my tools, don't like that. Under here, all the white areas ain't the whitest. So I've got Andy polishing them by hand. I've got him a cloth and a bit of polish. He's finger polishing. Rocker cover looks nice and easy now. 10mm bolts around the outside, buzz them off. Engine mount, I'd have to put a bit of wood underneath. Because I believe I mentioned that I'll probably get the engine mount. It needs to look mint when you pop the engine, when you pop the hood. Pop the hood! Pop the bonnet. These bolts that hold the engine down, they need some work. Don't just want to paint them silver. I know I paint stuff like that silver on my motor, but it doesn't last. I'm going to try and get them zinc pacifated, basically electroplated. A few more bits of stripping. Before I even touch the rocker cover, I need to get in touch with my vapor blasting man. Vapor blasting is different to sandblasting. Vapor blasting seals it off. Sandblasting leaves it porous. So I want them vapor blasted. So before I undo it, I'm going to make sure he's still in business. I ain't spoke to him in about a year or two. I'm going to get Andy scotching that down. Let's find some more bits to do. It's going well so far, and I have got it tucked away from the workshop. Got it tucked up against the wall. Done a bit of weeding. Got the airbox out. Got all the stuff out. I haven't got many tools, but everything I need to pick up and put it nicely. Some time has progressed. Not a lot, just a little. Stripped down the inlet manifold. I got that pipe off. I didn't snap it, happily. That was double-sided taped on, the whole thing. Managed to get that off. Another job done. I would love to get this engine bracket blasted, but the bolts are not going to come out without taking the engine out. And I ain't doing that. The end of the head is a bit fluffy, and I'm just going to clean it up, basically. I'm going to get a scotch pad and some WD-40, and I'm going to scotch the living snot out of it. And I'm also going to see if I can get these bolts replated. Worst case, I'll have to put a bit of silver on them. And any other small little brackets that are looking a bit old and tired. So I would get the throttle body done, but I don't know if we can blast water vapor at it. So I'll just clean that. I'll get Andy to clean it. Andy's in the workshop now. He's prepping the inlet manifold ready for paint. And the vapor blaster is coming either later or tomorrow, because he only lives around the corner. Very handy. Yeah, stuff is progressing. A few days has passed and I have been busy. Me and Andy have been busy. We got the inlet manifold rubbed down. We got it scotched down with red Scotch pad. This is how it looked before, bare plastic, looking ready, fresh, no marks in it, happily. We plastic primed it. I painted the red. I then spent 2 hours masking off the red, then splashed some white base coat on it, peeled off the red tape, and we lacquered the whole thing. And I believe it looks absolutely pucker. I'm happy with it. Hopefully the owner's happy, because he gave me a bit of a mention on what colour scheme he wanted, but he left it up to me. And he hasn't seen none of this. He wants to watch the video and see him for the first time with you guys. So hopefully the owner, he's seeing it right now, as you guys are, is happy. I like how it looks. We obviously taped off any areas that didn't want any paint on. Kept everything nice. We've got the red, white and black theme, the same as under the rest of the bonnet. Yeah, really happy with how it's come out. It's nice and shiny, looking really good. I did mention that I was going to get the rocker cover vapor blasted, which looks really nice, the OEM look. I spoke to the owner on the phone and mentioned what I was planning on doing, and he's like, well, what about painting it? And then I mentioned the vapor blast and it looks good OEM. He said, all right, we'll go with that. But that tells me he wanted it painted. So, Darren, hopefully you approve. So I got Andy to rub down the rocker cover, rubbed it smooth, and it's not the perfect of finish on the flat areas. To get the perfect area or perfect finish, the flatness, you'd have to rub it down, etch primer, we did etch primer it, and then 2-pack prime it and rub it down again. But the thing with, if you're painting engine parts, they get very hot. So if you put loads of paint, i.e. high build primer and loads of other layers of paint, you do run the risk, because it gets so hot, of it peeling off. So I didn't 2-pack prime it, I just rubbed it down, etch primed it. I did put a bit of colour coordination going on, so we have got some red around the base of the rocker cover, taped him up, white base, and then lacquer. I didn't obviously put any paint where the oil cap goes. We've taped off any areas that didn't want any paint on. Now, he gave me the colour scheme. Again, he hasn't seen it, hope you like it. And the colour scheme, red, black and grey, I didn't just want to paint too many things different colours, i.e. the inlet white, the rocker red, and other bits like that, because then it starts to look a bit like a toy engine, a bit tacky, a bit like the Harlequin Polo. If some of you guys don't know what that is, here's a picture of the Harlequin Polo, and it's just a mess of colours. Someone couldn't decide, so let's have all the colours. It's not a bit of me. So I've tried to keep the colour coordination going on. We've got black caps to go on the oil cap and stuff like that. So we have got the white, red and black theme. Hopefully he likes it. With the engine mount, I obviously painted the mount part white, and then this piece, the reason I didn't paint this piece, and I've done it chrome, let me show you what it looks like, because we all know chrome will get you home. The reason I didn't paint it is because there's bolts that need doing up nice and tight, and when you do the bolts up, it rips the paint, it looks even worse. So I did spend an hour and a half, 2 hours, rubbing it down with all the grits, polished it up nice, and I did wire wheel the bolts. I couldn't get them zinc passivate plated in time. So now we've got a bit of bling that I hope he approves of. And when I mentioned vapor blasting, it's the OEM look, well, look at the van. He's not going for the OEM look, he wants the pimped look, and I do hope he likes it. Let me just offer the rocker cover up, or the inlet manifold, sorry, and then we shall assemble. I haven't done this yet, so I don't know what it's going to look like. Don't want to scratch anything. You don't see a lot of the rocker cover, you only see the end. I'm happy with that, and if you look carefully, you're going to see the red two-tone going on there. Yeah, very nice. Hopefully the owner approves. I really like it, so much so, it's inspired me to do some of mine. But that is for a later date. I am just about to start assembling, and I did clean the inside of the rocker cover. It was quite black in there, but it come up a lot nicer. I'm only showing you a little shot of fitting it back together because I want to take my time and take a lot of care. I don't want any chips, I don't have to do any touch-ins or anything like that, so I'm going to take my time and get it bolted back together. But of course, the first fitment shot is the one. A few grubby marks on it. Yeah, that looks really good. I did also clean the end of his head. Pardon the pun. I did also clean this off because it was white, fluffy and corroded. Spent a bit of time with a Scotch Brite and WD-40. It looks better than it did. Really happy with how the rocker cover looks. The little red accent around the bottom, I like that. You have to look for it to see it, but when you do, you know I've taken some time. I'm going to fit this back up slowly but surely, and let's see how it looks and make sure it runs before we move on to the next step. The van is also having a service while it's here. Although you haven't got to take the inlet manifold off to change the spark plugs, it's given me more room. There's less chance of scratching something. So I've just ordered the plugs. I'm going to stick them in now, but I'm taking this shot so it can be inserted into next week's video because I'm lazy. No, just kidding. There's no point in taking the spark plugs out now, then getting it running, putting the inlet manifold all back together, testing it, and then disassembling again. I'm just going to stick the plugs in now, and I can use this clip in next week's video. Taking my time, all 6 plugs have come out very nice coloured. They're not that tight. If I show you, I'm holding the head of the ratchet super loose. Might have been losing a tiny bit of compression out of those, all the same. And one thing I've noticed, they are all the same colour, but they are all original VW Audi plugs. Are they original? I don't know. Looking at this part, I'd say they're original, but someone may have just had it serviced at VW Audi. I don't know, but they're not recent, but they are a nice colour. Let me see if you guys can see that. Nope. They are a very nice colour, and they are all original VW Audi. Yeah, happy to be changing them now. Got all the engine back together, all good, no lights on, all is well. I took my time and we done it nicely. We got no chips, no scratches, and yeah, it's come out really nice. I really like it. Going to do some bits on mine. Tell me what you guys at home think. I do enjoy reading your comments, and I like to know what you guys think about what we get up to. We got all the front end put back together, and I did paint along the top. So I painted the top of the front panel, and it was a textured plastic with loads of imprints and press marks from when it was pressed in the factory. So I heavily DA'd it smooth. That got rid of the texture and most of the press marks. Then I 2-pack primed it, heavy 2-pack prime, blocked it out with a hand block. That got the last of the marks out, and then we painted it shiny gloss black. Black base, lacquer, shiny, very nice. And for extra effort, I painted the 2 headlight top trims. I bought new ones. Only one of them turned up in time for this shot. So to get this shot right, I did rub down and paint one of the old ones, just so it looked a complete package in this end shot. But I'm not overly impressed with the fitment of the new ones. None of the holes are lining up. So I may end up getting the old ones, the original ones, sandblasted, and then paint both of them, because these new ones, they're a pattern part. If ever you've used pattern parts, wings and stuff, sometimes don't fit very well. Well, these don't fit very well, so I am going to replace those and redo the original old ones. I dry fitted this back up last night, the front end. Oh, hang on. We got something missing. We can't have that in this end shot. I suppose you can borrow my one just for this end shot. How does it go? Turn it to the... Is it going to fit? I don't know if it's going to fit, saying that, because this is from a different vehicle, this front grille. Oh, it don't fit. Is it going to fit? I don't want to wedge it in there. Oh, it don't fit. Badge doesn't fit. We'll have to just pretend it's in there. Anyway, I did dry fit this together last night, and the grille, it was very underwhelming. We've got all the shiny black, we've got all the shiny paint under there, everything looking nice, and the lacquer was peeling off the grille. It didn't look very nice. Whoever had painted it before, I don't know what lacquer they'd used, but it was all peeling off. It didn't look that good. So, 9 o'clock last night, I'm finger rubbing out peely lacquer, black base in it, shining it up just for this end shot, but he wanted it doing, So we got it done. Yeah, it's come out nice. Front bumper's fitted back on. If you remember, the bumper corners were hanging out. It's a typical trait on the Caddies. The bumper corners hang out, they don't sit very nice. We got new genuine trims that go under there, bumper corner brackets. And what I do, little trick, I heat the tabs up and I bend them slightly so they're more grippy. That bumper is held on just with hopes and dreams. There's no screws in it, but it literally popped into place and snap, pop, fits lovely. With some screws in it, that ain't going nowhere. Happy with that, and I'm happy with how it's looking. Yeah, it is looking good. And just to mention, it's raining. Middle of July, it's raining, not good. You guys are currently sat in my T5 with the sliding door open. Come and have a better look and see what we've done. Better look, a bit closer up, and we can see the shine in the front panel. It has come out nice. The original headlight bracket, that's the original one, temporarily painted. I do need to blast it and put it back on. This one, the holes don't line up at all, so I haven't put any bolts in it. That's just sat there for this shot. But it's all looking good, it's all looking nice. It's a shame we don't have the badge to go in the grille, but it's not always perfect. I've put the engine back together, it's looking good. I have temporarily put a little bit of double-sided tape back on that black plate with the V6 on it. He is going to remove that and get a sticker made up with Edition 32. This is an Edition 30 model, but he's going to call it Edition 32 because it's got the 3.2. Engine bay is looking really nice, and I did go round and replace all of the screws. He did have stainless screws in there, but they weren't 316 marine grade stainless. So they'd faded, they'd gone rusty, they didn't look very nice, and we replaced all those. They are looking super fresh. And I don't know if you can see, tucked down in there, there's a bracket that holds the water bottle. That had rusty bolts, so I've put 316 stainless bolts in that. And then round the back of the water bottle, you can see that little torque screw. Well, they had gone rusty too, so I wire wheeled them. Very small details that you can't see, but if you look really hard, you can see them. Small touches make the overall effect, so happy with that. I like the engine mount, actually, with a bit of chrome on it. Again, I didn't want to paint it because I didn't want the paint snagging off as we've done the bolts up. Yeah, not too much white, not too much red, plenty of black, so we've got the red, black and white theme. Looking nice. He does want his engine bay painted at a later date, but he's going to have to come back after show season, so we need to strip everything out that's in the engine bay, not the engine, but all the wiring loom, all the water bottles, washer bottles, wiring loom, bonnet off, all the trims out to do it nicely. We didn't have enough time to get that done today, but there's still a few more bits I want to do. I have noticed the wiper arms looking a bit, so I'm going to gloss black them. I'm going to find him 2 caps that go on there to cover the bolts up. I'm going to take them off the Touran and just finalise a few little finessing details. But under the bonnet, I believe is looking really good. I'm happy with how it turned out. Hopefully the owner is. There is a few more jobs that we need to do on the van. We've got a suspension kit coming, max peding rods, of course. His are old and tired. We're going to freshen it up with a fresh pair of a fresh set of coilovers on it. There is a service to do on the engine. Already done the spark plugs. We need to service the engine, service the gearbox, and there's a few bits in the back we need to do, a few bits of tidying up around the outside, and we're getting close to this being a bit more done. But there is going to be 1, maybe 2 more videos on this. I'm not sure. Might be able to squeeze it in one. That way, you guys haven't got to wait a week to see the next update. And exciting news for me, maybe for you, I am going to buy a new project today, possibly, depending on condition. And yes, it's a VW, and it might be a van, but I'll mention that at a later date because I'm quite keen to go and have a look at it tonight. Yeah, all is rolling well. I'll see you in the next one, guys. I'm out.